Everyone is rushing to leave these cities in 2023.
The housing market may be cooling off, but that doesn't mean buyers can afford homes where they live. Sometimes, the only way to find a home that fits your budget is to pick up and move. Though there are several reasons that would make you want to move away from where you are. About 40 to 60% of Americans are considering a move this year. That's exactly what many people are doing. As home prices continue to rise despite falling demand and sales, more people than ever are looking to relocate.
Let's look at the top cities everyone is rushing to leave in America in 2023.
Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is a wonderful city, but it isn't for everyone. Some people are disappointed with the city's living circumstances. In the last decade, Chicago has lost over 1 million residents. It's no surprise that people are seeking better pastures in the face of increased violence, rising taxes, and a stagnating economy. Many Chicago residents choose to move out of the city limits to other parts of Illinois or even outside of state lines. Chicago has seen a significant population decline in recent years, with residents declining by 220,000 between 2010 and 2017. This trend is alarming to many who are worried about the economic implications for Chicago's future. There are many reasons why people are leaving the city, including high taxes and crime rates and the weather being too cold in the winter months. For decades, Chicago has not been recognized as an economical place to live like other major cities. However, rent has become extremely high in recent years, and tax rates are soaring, so finding a place to park at restaurants is impossible. Most people wanting to live in the safest place in a metro area make accommodations and adjust to the extreme weather, crime rate, and cost of living compared to the suburbs. In Chicago, so many people compete for places to live that they have become greatly overpriced. Chicago was recently named the most expensive city in the United States. Anyone looking for a job in the city can expect to pay an average income of $10.50 an hour after taxes, which is about $400 to $500 per week in take-home pay. In the northern suburbs of Chicago, it will be more expensive to live with take-home pay of $400 or less. However, in rural communities in Illinois or even outside state lines, people can find homes for about half the price they would have to pay in Chicago and surrounding cities. To compare, LA's population has increased by more than 86,000 people in the past 7 years, thanks to an influx of residents from Chicago and other cities. In fact, according to census data from 2013, nearly 15% of all Angelenos were born in Illinois, the largest percentage from any state. Not only are more people moving to LA from Chicago, but they're also making a beeline for the Inland Empire, another region where you can find significantly more affordable real estate and cost of living than in California's pricier coastal cities. In the issue of paying taxes, the city has had some of the highest taxes in the country. For most people, living in a city where at least half their income goes to taxes isn't easy or sustainable unless they somehow make more than $50,000 per year. Chicago has some of the highest tax rates in the United States, and its public schools continue to be problematic. The out-of-control rising tax rates are one of the main reasons people leave Chicago for other parts of Illinois or even outside state lines. Chicago has been known to have the highest sales tax in all of Illinois at 10.25%. In addition, Chicago homeowners pay a property tax rate about a third higher than the national average. At the same time, some suburban communities have some of the lowest property taxes in the Midwest. New York City. Approximately 300 square miles of land are currently occupied by about 8,932,000 citizens of New York City, though these numbers are fast dropping. The big city is undoubtedly the most vibrant and diversified in the entire globe. In the last 10 years, nearly 1 million people have departed New York City and the surrounding tri-state region. However, this pattern is not just present in New York. Residents of other areas, including Los Angeles, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., to mention a few, are relocating to other states. The moving business, United Van Lines, monitors the movement of persons. For those who live in these states, it makes sense that outbound numbers are so high. New York living is highly appealing. However, it comes with a price. Many people move to New York each year. Many leave too. If you settled in New York and found a steady job, you might think you were set. There is a chance, though, that your situation may change. New York has a reputation as being made for specific jobs, like banking or finances. Plenty of people still can't seem to save money monthly. It is no surprise that the cost of living in New York is very high, especially in the city. This seems to be the driving and determining factor that causes people to leave. New York residents appear to be looking for a better financial situation and are turning to the suburbs. Everything from food, housing, and taxes costs more in New York than in any other state. New York City has a reputation for being one of, if not the most expensive, cities in the world. The booming economy and significant job market all contribute to the high prices. So if you feel like New York is running you dry, you might consider moving to another state. New York is an ideal place for job opportunities. Nonetheless, in a city and state as big as New York, many people struggle to find their place. Competition is fierce, and it is not that simple to find an above-average job. To find a well-paid job in New York, you will need solid connections and a lot of patience. In regards to small business, New York should be the last place you consider. Since New York has fierce competition among local companies, you are better off working in another town or city. New York has local food stores, antique stores, and every other shop you can think of on every corner. Between the cost of living expenses, crumbling infrastructure, and high tax rates, it is no wonder people are leaving. Anyone who resides in New York City is forced to pay exorbitant taxes. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan is widely considered the center of the American automotive industry, but more residents are packing their bags and driving out of the state than into it. The residents in Detroit not only lack job opportunities, but also live expensive lives. The cost of living here is 14% more expensive than in other cities of the state and 3% more expensive than the national average. Michigan also has one of the highest average auto insurance rates in the nation, and residents say driving in the colder months can get particularly treacherous.
Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington, right around the west coast of Washington in the Sea of King County, is Seattle, another well-known city that is losing the size of its population. The current population of the city is about 762,000 residents, all living on a total land area of around 142 square miles, and people are leaving every day on the surface of the Emerald City. With its very high cost of living, it is 36% more expensive than the state average and 54% more expensive than the national average. But that's not all. There is also a chance of your house being emptied of value before the bank comes knocking, because the crime rate in Seattle spells out danger. There is a 1 in 152 chance of being a victim of violent crimes on its streets, and even higher chances of being robbed at home. These frightening odds set the rate of crime here above other cities of the state and the national average. In addition to all the other factors, the weather here is also playing a part in the population reduction. Seattle has way too many dark and gloomy days in winter and enough rainy days to leave you feeling blue for most of the year. So it's no surprise that a lot of its residents are seeking new routes right away. Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. At first glance, living in Washington, D.C. might seem like a dream come true, but this is unfortunately not the case. Washington, D.C. currently has a population of around 707,109 residents, all living in a total land area of about 61 square miles, and it is struggling to hold on to that number. The capital may stand tall as the seat of government that is rapidly growing and attracting young upstarts from all over the world, but on the downside, it is unbelievably expensive to live here currently. Washington, D.C. is ranked in the top 1% of the most expensive cities in the world, so living here can be a literal pain in the pockets. With the residents already battling the high cost of living, it certainly doesn't help that there is also a bad job market to worry about, the rate of unemployment here being higher than in the state and the national average at 4.6%. While the numbers don't seem all that bad, it can still be a big concern when you have expensive bills to pay for those living here. Stress is probably a feeling that is all too familiar with residing in the city. Finally, the rate of crime in Washington, D.C. is exactly high, so the city offers no comfort of safer streets. With this, residents keep moving out of the city to find a better home.